Okay. Hello. Let's see if this works. Okay. So, I have a close friend whose PC has, well, they have an old laptop. They have an old laptop that was inherited from someone who couldn't get it to work right for them. So I got it working-ish. And while that was fine, it never really worked without being plugged into the wall, which of course is a huge pain. So, and every day it gets older and slower. So I'm going to, I have a server project that I worked on for a while. Didn't pan out quite the way I wanted, so I'm going a different direction with it. So, but thankfully a lot of the parts for that server were off-the-shelf computer components, and so I'm going to repurpose them as a little 1440p, 1080p home office and gaming PC for them. Okay, I need to figure out which of these go where. I don't typically use cable extensions, but figure we can make it look nice for them because I'm not going to use these for anything else. We'll see how that goes. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just be lazy and not use them. Save them for a rainy day because I don't want to take this. I don't want this to take forever. In any case, I need to have power supply cables ready. This is what's left of the server. As you can see, it is now a mess. This is the motherboard that's going into this new gaming PC. It's an ASRock B580M Riptide, great little AM5 motherboard. And the case that I'm using is a Johnsbow D32 Pro. If I can get these out of here. Oh. Actually, I already got my EPS cables out, so I'll just start with those because those are the ones that I need to install in the Johnsbow case before I get the motherboard in there. I know the camera angle is a little bit special right now. I apologize. That will be rectified momentarily. Let's see. There is just enough length on these cables to get to the motherboard, so I might switch to the extensions later to make it look nicer, but for now this is what we're doing. And yes, you might have seen some Kapton tape holding that all together. Here we go. This Johnsbow case is a really good one. It's very well featured, plenty of ventilation. I'll give a rundown of the components we'll be using, since I already started with that motherboard. The CPU is going to be an AMD Ryzen 5 9600. My camera's upside down. I just realized that. That's hilarious. Oh well. I have not done a live stream in a really long time, so this is how it's going. So I was saying AMD Ryzen 5 9600X. So 6-core 12-thread AM5, very fast, plenty fast for anything I would be doing with it, or they would be doing with it. Certainly fast enough to be paired with the Intel B580, which is the graphics card that's going with this. Should be plenty for their needs. They're not, you know, big video editors or anything like that. All right. This little cable hiding shroud I will probably have to move later, but for now I'm going to leave it there. See if I can squeeze this motherboard in. The CPU that, well, I already talked about the CPU, didn't I? Oh, the CPU cooler, that's what I was going to say. CPU cooler that we're using is the Thermalright Silver Soul 110. It's a great fit for this little case. I'll put that. That was a little PWM case fan connector splitter. See if I can do all the back and forth necessary for this. Oh, I still have my old Unraid boot drive plugged into this motherboard. That's funny. Okay. Come on. All right. So this motherboard probably its greatest flaw is it doesn't have a ton of case fan connectors or plugs, so I have some PWM splitters that I used with it when it was supposed to be a server, and that worked out pretty nicely. See if I can get this in here all right. It doesn't solve my problem at all. As you can see, it's not a huge CPU cooler, but it's plenty big enough for the 9600X and for this case. Does a fine job of keeping it cool. That just continuously spins for some reason. Oh well. These micro ATX motherboards have so many screw holes in them, and I like to utilize them all because it looks better that way. But it doesn't really actually need more than 4 or 5, probably. Don't take that as advice. Let's see if these are the right kinds of screws for this. They're the same head, but they could be a different thread. Seems to fit pretty nicely. Okay, cool. Let's see, our RAM is a 32 gig kit of G.Skill Flare X5 CL30 6000 mega transfer per second RAM. Very quick kit with good timings. And that motherboard is not going anywhere, which means I can tip this up and plug these in. I can manage to keep this on camera for the most part. I apologize, everyone. "32 gigs of RAM is about right at this point in time. If you've got a Mac, you probably don't need that unless you've got a very heavy workload you're running on it. But on a PC, 32 gigs is great for the any overhead if you're running Windows, and of course if you are gaming especially. Or, editing photos, editing videos, things like that. Wish my hands were a little bit more small and dexterous in moments like these. Here we go. Nope. Oh, yes. Hallelujah. Okay. Okay. Now that's in there. Route the cable. Route the more different cable. Cool. Let's see. In terms of fans today, what do I even have to install in this thing? I've got 3 120 millimeter fans that I can put in it today, plus this one. So I'm actually not going to use the extension right now. I'll probably add more in the future, but between a 9600X and an Intel B580, this will be plenty of cooling for this system. No worry at all about it not being enough. Which means I can wrap that cable around something like that. Plug that into the CPU fan. Something like that. There's not going to be perfect cable management on this, guys. So if that bothers you, sorry, but today I cannot be bothered. I'm going to break out a smaller screwdriver. Yes, I'm showing my Linus Tech Tips fanboyness a little bit. Is it possible for me to switch to a different lens on this? Not that I can see. Okay. Sorry, I am not winning any points for videography today. Let's see here. Plug the front panel USB ports in right there. Sure I've got that correctly oriented now that I've already crammed it in there once. Good. Oh, HD audio is like way the heck across the motherboard. Where's the actual front panel? Or the power button. Okay, there it is. Power button, etc. right there. HD audio is way the heck over here. HD audio, front panel, more different front panel, and I believe I am missing, the other front panel, USB-C, which goes right here. I love the satisfying snap that the front panel USB-C gives when it goes into the motherboard there. Should probably pause 1 second for the case fans, which I of course hid for myself because I always do. Will that fit a 120? It will. Okay. So I've got this Arctic P12 fan. Arctic is by far my favorite fan maker. They just do a great job. Oh, and this even has a nice little splitter on it built in. So that's going to be my exhaust fan. And then I've got a couple of other fans. They're not Arctic, unfortunately. They're Thermalrights, but Thermalright does a pretty good job with their fans too. So those will be our intake at the bottom. I believe the fan that's on the CPU cooler right now is also an Arctic fan. They're just really good bang for buck, often rivaling Noctua fans at sometimes less than, well less than half the price. And it's hard to argue with that kind of math, so that's what I typically go for. And I'll probably do a full contingent of Arctic P12 or P12 Max fans in the future, but I want to get this to them sooner rather than later. And this way it will function just fine. They won't have any complaints, I'm sure. Although they do have a pretty strong preference for laptops, so the size of it might be a little bit bothersome, but as far as desktops go, it's really not too bad. So if I can, I like to have the exhaust directly linked up with the CPU in terms of signal. So that it can spit out as much heat as possible. I wonder if I can tuck this cable in here. I don't have any fingernails right now, so we'll see. Oh yeah, sweet. One of the fins is bending on me here. Get back over there. Sorry, I know there's really not much to watch. I probably don't have the greatest angle on this right now with the camera. Okay. Okay. So we've got the CPU fan and the exhaust fan both connected to the rear CPU connector. Or to the CPU connector on the motherboard. Okay. Sweet. All right. Next, I need to extract the power supply from the server. The LTT screwdriver is great, don't get me wrong, but it's just too fat for some things. Let me show you what we're dealing with here, because this is nothing like a little crackle sound when you're trying to unplug something. Really make your spine tingle. Okay. Now, so the server chassis that the server was in was not well optimized at all out of the box. It was like $140 rack choice chassis. So I had to move the power supply to the front as an intake, and then it would exhaust to this other intake fan, and then blow it through, because the hard drives wouldn't fit where the hard drives were meant to go. The case was designed for micro ATX supposedly, but the moment you actually used it for that, the hard drives didn't fit in their designated mounting space anymore, which, talk about a bad design. So I had to 3D print a mounting bracket for this SFX power supply, move this power supply from the back left corner to the front right corner, and then get power supply, an interior power supply extension, so that it could be plugged in from the back. Iterated through a couple different power supply mounting brackets, and was really pleased when I was able to just do this little L-shaped one where it it mounts with its 4 screws here, and then with 4 more to this 80 millimeter fan mount. There's another Arctic fan. So that worked out really nicely, because I then 3D printed another custom designed mount for the hard drives, and put them where the power supply was supposed to go. So the case was designed for an ATX power supply or SFX power supply. So since there was enough space for an ATX power supply, but I only wanted to use SFX, see how that bracket goes on there? Pretty clever, I thought. Because of that, and the power supply I wanted to use was this SFX one, there was plenty of space for 3 hard drives back there. So I just swapped them, basically. It obviously wasn't as trivial as I'm making it sound, but for the most part, it wasn't terrible. For the most part. All right. In the Johnsbow D32 Pro, our power supply This also has room for ATX or SFX power supply. I prefer to use SFX if I can. I know they're a little bit more expensive, but the extra room, it makes it really nice to work with. I'm not doing myself any favors by holding all this the way I am, but that's fine. Okay, one. Obviously this only holds 3 corners of the SFX power supply, but excuse me, it does at least have the mount points there from the get-go. That helps a lot. Okay. This power supply cable I can bring through behind and then plug in. Really, this isn't going to be too bad. Not having any cable extensions, because this power supply, the cables are all black anyway, and I do think they are all long enough. They're not particularly flexible, but they do the trick. The power supply is one I've used a few times now. It's the Cooler Master V850 gold. It's got more than enough power. I've used it with 79 XTX before just fine. I really don't like how this cable goes here, but that's how they made it, so that's how it's going. Okay. And then those APS cables, which are going to come around this way, I think. Oh yeah, there's plenty of slack in these. Click. Probably can't really see what I'm doing here, but that's fine. Those do look like they're all the way in, which is great. Okay. All right. We are cooking. I'm quite literally cooking. It's actually pretty hot in here. I wonder if I can get away with turning a fan on without totally ruining my audio. Hopefully it doesn't create too much of a strobe effect. Oh, hey. Hey, so sorry. I'm just now noticing the chat. You can tell how out of practice I am because I'm just now seeing this. First person, I'm sorry. I cannot help anyone on Discord right now. Let's see. Sigmesh. RAM prices are going bonkers. I hope you're still here. Should one wait for prices to drop or buy it now because the prices keep going up? That is a great question. Honestly, I would not count on them going up, or sorry, on going down again sometime soon, because you just never know, especially because if you're in the States or United States adjacent, or if your country deals with the United States, chances are the prices are going to be affected by tariffs, and continue to be for a while, because even if a tariff isn't actually in effect, everyone's using it as an excuse to drive their prices up. So I would not wait. You might see about getting a used kit from somewhere like Newegg or Amazon, where you can return it if it's not working right. See if you can save a few bucks that way. If you're out of breath. So yeah, there's that. Let's see. So yeah, I wouldn't wait. I would buy RAM now. And yes, I am out of breath. I'm sorry, I'm fat, and manipulating these around in circles is exhausting to me because I need to go to the gym. Anyways, the specs of this system are a AMD Ryzen 5 9600X, great CPU for basically anything under a 4090 or 5090. Truly, you don't need anything faster than that. Especially because I think it's like $190 for a 9600X right now. The motherboard is an ASRock Phantom Gaming B850M Riptide. I have always loved ASRock motherboards. I know there were some issues with the X3D chips with ASRock motherboards not too long ago. I don't think that this one was on that list. This CPU certainly wasn't, but I believe those have been rectified with firmware updates. Anyway, the RAM is a 32 gig kit from G-Skill X5 Flare, Flare X5, 6,000 mega transfers per second, CL30, and the GPU that's going in this guy, oh my gosh, that's horrible, is going to be an Intel B580. So great little 1080p to 1440p gaming system for someone who just needs a decent computer. They've been running on a truly terrible laptop for quite some time. So sorry, I'll try not to breathe so hard. We'll see. No promises, I guess. To work on mic placement next time. Okay, next I think I need to put in a couple more fans, and then we can put in the GPU and hide this horrible rat's nest I've created in the back, because I'm not going to cable manage today. I'm too lazy. Just enough to keep something from shorting out is about my style when it comes to cable management right now. I appreciate those of you who have stopped in to watch, though. Awesome. How many of us are here so far? 4 concurrent viewers. Magic, considering I haven't live streamed in about 1,000 years. I'll take that as a big win. The case is a John's Bow D32 Pro. It's about a $70 case. Punches way above its weight class in price. Really nice little case. Especially if you need something that's not too big, but also has a little extra expansion on the motherboard. This is a great one for that. Before I forget, I'm going to remove one of the... Actually, no, this has 2 Western Digital 850Xs, I believe they're called, for the storage drives. I'm gonna actually put them in a mirror for data safety, because the person I'm giving this to is not a technological person, and if they lose any data, like many of us, they will be devastated. So I'm just gonna not give them the opportunity to experience that problem. Okay. I mentioned it earlier, but this, in terms of cases, we're not going to be in our final form at the end of this. Someday I would like to put a full contingent of Arctic P12s or P12 Maxes, because those are great, but I only have one of those right now. So I'm going to throw a couple of these 120 millimeter Thermalright fans in the bottom, because that's what I got. They're still decent. They're a little bit noisier than the Arctic ones, but Thermalright, for their price, does a great job. Am I installing a DVD capability? No, I am not. Unfortunately, this case, someone correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think this case has any space for a DVD drive. It might have a spot for a slim one, but I don't think so. But no, they have a Blu-ray player in their living room, so they're gonna survive with that. I don't remember what these fan grills were for. Oh, I have an idea though. A while back, we lived with some family, and they had a bunch of cats. I don't remember exactly why the fangirls were there, but I bet it had something to do with the cats. Okay. All right. We'll get these fans in here. Whoops. See if I can lay it down. How important are the fans? Great question. If computer gets hot, computer slows down. If computer has fans, computer still gets hot, but not as hot, and so that can either totally prevent it from slowing down, or make it slow down much less often. This computer is going to be low power enough that it's not going to slow down with just a few fans in there. So that's good. But generally, when you're building a desktop, you want to find out how many cases or how many fans your case will take, and then get that many fans into the case. Since I expect to someday improve the fan situation in here, I'm just going to do 2 screws on this on the bottom fans here, because I like the Arctic ones that I have here, and as I said before, the Thermalrights are okay, but they're not my preference, so make it easier to swap them out later. Thank you guys for asking questions. You'll notice the ugly side of the fans is being pointed into the PC. That is an unfortunate necessity in this situation because generally in a PC case, the fans will blow in from the bottom and out through the top and back. In through the bottom and front, I should say. Out through the top and back. This one, the intake, these ones are going to be these ones on the bottom. And then the exhaust is going to be that one at the back right here. I want to make sure that these can still spin. I think they can. I'm going to put 4 screws in each one after all, because something's going to go wrong just because I tried to do it the slow way. Is the power of the fans built in to the fans built in as well? Yeah, on the motherboard, you have usually 4-pin plugs for the fans. Some of them are typically labeled CHA, meaning chassis fan, and usually there's at least 1 or 2 labeled CPU fan. And the chassis fans will go off of temperature sensors built into the motherboard, usually. And the CPU fan or fans will go off of CPU temperatures. I mentioned earlier, I plugged the exhaust and the CPU fan both into the CPU fan header on the motherboard, so that when the CPU gets hot, this fan is going to blow the hot air out as quickly as it can. Okay, I think those are okay. I guess we'll find out. Really needs to be a little bit more space. It's like, it's maybe 1 millimeter. That might be okay. All right. All right. I think we are ready for the graphics card. And on the Johnsbow D32, they've got this whole bracket system thing that you have to disassemble. It's not too complicated, but you gotta get 3 screws out. And then pull that out. And as you can see here, I've already got a couple of the PCI slot panel covers removed. So I'm just, I'll see if I can locate that last one there at the bottom, but I'm not going to worry about it right at the moment. Our graphics card, whoa, forgot my my stream camera's upside down, y'all. I'm doing a real great job with this. Intel Arc B580 GPU. This is a fantastic card for around 250 bucks. Please do not spend more than like $275 on one of these, because MSRP is $250. This one has had a very illustrious career so far, because I bought it for a home server, which I was building. Wanted to use it for audio and video transcoding mostly, but the shroud on it, let me show you. The shroud is really tall, and it's crazy because the heatsink is way down here, but the shroud is taller, probably so they can fit bigger fans in it. But that shroud made it so I couldn't fit it in the server case. So I actually de-shrouded it and attached a different set of fans to the thing so that it would fit. And I haven't finished editing and uploading the video, but to my knowledge, that represents the first and only de-shrouding of the B580 Onyx Odyssey graphics card to ever happen on planet Earth, which is pretty cool. This is not a super high-powered card, so water cooling it wouldn't make very much sense. But you know, it's fun to learn things like that. So just gonna get that slotted in there. Look how pretty that is. I'm so sorry it's upside down, guys. But one little thing that makes this motherboard a very strong recommend to me is this right here. Oh, you can't see it past the CPU cooler. Hold on. See that little tab right there? That releases the GPU from the PCIe slot. Traditionally, that little release lever is underneath where that GPU is right now. making it virtually inaccessible, especially if it's a particularly large GPU. So ASRock, in their infinite wisdom, and I mean that very sincerely for once, opted to extend the lever and make it work more nicely for people, which is great because a lot of GPUs are huge these days, and that makes it just so much easier to build with. I've used, in the same case with virtually all the same components, a pretty enormous Sapphire Pulse 7900 XTX graphics card. Which is just really big, and you know, compared to a lot of others these days, it's not that big, but but that lever made it much easier to get in and out of the case. All right, I need a graphics card, a PCIe 8-pin cable. For this, look at this thing. Covered it with Kapton tape. It's ridiculous. Oh, I even had this twist tie wrapped around it too, so that it would stay in line better. I don't think I'm going to do it that way this time. I think I have another 8-pin cable here somewhere. Oh, just like that one. Okay. Go ahead and take the twist tie out. This perhaps should be where I break out the PCIe extensions that I have. Or, sorry, power supply extensions. But again, I truly doubt that the friend that's going to end up with this system is going to care. They're going to be amazed that it looks decent at all, I'm sure. It's plugged into the power supply right here. Man, I really hate that extra plug in the middle there. It used to be that a power supply would come with one that had a split like this with two heads on it, and that the other had just one, which would be perfect for a situation like this where the graphics card only needs one anyway. These days, a graphics card not needing at least two is so rare that evidently Cooler Master, at least, for the purposes of this power supply, opted to just leave it there. Yeah, I don't like that. Okay. All right. Time to figure out these cable extensions that I got out earlier. Let's see. Here we go. 6 and 2. This is 4 and 4. This is 4 and 4. This is 6 and 2. This is 6 and 2. Okay. 6 and 2. Okay. And then route this and then plug them in. Let's see. Probably route it over and through here next to the front I/O connectors. Doesn't need cable combs, maybe. Yeah, probably. Okay. Shoot. I want that to go underneath. Sorry, guys. I'm being OCD about one cable. Because I know the rest of it is going to look pretty nice, I guess, so I want the last piece of the puzzle to turn out, I suppose. Does block a little bit of, like a tiny bit of airflow there, but it's not going to matter because these are not super high power components. Let's see. Those who have just recently joined us, thank you for being here. Oh, I should probably button down the GPU bracket, but first I'm going to put this little shroud in. This covers up some cables right here a little bit, makes it a little neater. Screw does not want to go in. Love that for me. All right. Woo. Okay. Going to unceremoniously, and I truly mean that, cram the back panel onto this case here. These cables are just a lot. I managed to get them all tangled up in each other too. That's nice. It's okay. So long as they're out of the way and not getting hurt or shorted, I'm happy. Please don't judge me too harshly for my cable management or lack thereof. Is that the Johnsbow Z20 case? No, this is the Johnsbow D32. This is an excellent case. Plenty of room for cooling fans, AIOs. Can put a micro ATX motherboard, which is usually the least expensive option. How's that look, guys? Not half bad, eh? Yeah, Johnsbow is phenomenal. Like, this case is like $72 or something on Amazon if you like to shop there. And it if you take the time, like I really haven't here, it is a really good looking case too. I'm going to put the retention bracket for the GPU back down here. There we go. It's not so much a retention as it is a cover, I guess you could say. But we are coming dangerously close to the end of our stream here, folks. I'm going to be installing Windows on this guy here shortly, and this stream was kind of a last second thing I did today, so unfortunately I don't have a hookup to show you that installation process at the moment, but I will get at least 1 or 2 more panels back on this thing before we sign off here. There we go. Oh, suddenly had a spike in friends here. Welcome. For those of us who have joined very recently, building a PC for a friend. And we have actually just finished construction of it. Need to remember to switch the power supply on. Would have been easier to do that before I put this top panel on, but we have an AMD Ryzen 5 9600X 6-core 12-thread CPU, 32 gigs of G-Skill Flare X5 6000 megatransfer per second RAM, CL30 I believe, and an Onyx Odyssey Intel Arc B580. The motherboard is an ASRock Phantom Gaming B850M Riptide. Great little motherboard. CPU cooler is a Thermalright Silver Soul 110. Case fans are what I had lying around, but Arctic P12 Max is, like I believe this one is, are my preference. And then the power supply is a Cooler Master V850 Gold SFX power supply. I'm going to get operating system installed on this thing, and then deliver it to my friend soon. But thank you guys for joining in. We're about wrapped up here, but actually, am I too disgusting to show on camera myself? Let's see. Okay. Thanks for watching. We're going to be putting some more content on this channel soon. I haven't done much on it in a long time, but I really appreciate you guys watching. Hope somebody learned something. Thank you very much. Tom's Zubart. Sorry if I said that wrong. System turned out pretty well. Oh, I'll see if I can position it nicely on the bench here and then show you guys one more time. There it is. Thanks for helping me, coming along for the ride, and I'll have some more stuff up on this channel soon. If you have enjoyed this, or if you haven't, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and I appreciate you all. Talk to you again sometime soon.